Yeah, that's a good question. Taking a really big step back and looking at the big picture, we as a planet need to peak our overall emissions that contribute to global warming by the year 2015. So we basically have 6 years left.
To waste energy.
Right, to peak. We're still on an upward trend in terms of our pollution, and we need to max out at 2015. And then as a country, or as a planet, we need to reduce our emissions by 50% by the year 2050. That's what science says we need to do to avoid the worst impacts. So then how that plays out politically is that we need to have an international treaty like Kyoto, something even stronger, that is a binding agreement among countries that they will do their share and reduce their global warming pollution. And what that translates to here in the United States is what I said before, the ultimate target, which is what science says now. It may even change because climate science is, continually changing and we're getting more and more information. But right now, scientists are saying that we need to reduce our global warming pollution by 80%, our greenhouse gas emissions by the 1990 levels, which is when they were first being calculated. We need to reduce them 80% of 1990 levels by the year 2050. And so we can do that in a lot of ways. A key thing is a cap and trade program, where a cap and trade program works where the country will set a limit on how much pollution polluters like refineries and power plants can actually pollute, and then basically gives a cost to pollution, so that those who pollute more can basically purchase credits from those who are polluting less, who are polluting under the limit. And Greenpeace is actually advocating for the auctioning off, 100% auctioning of these cap and trade credits, which can then be put into investments into renewable energy or other types of programs into green jobs. And that's another part of kind of our whole effort, is that we need to make a major switch from fossil fuels, away from coal, and away from dirty sources of energy to clean sources of energy like wind and solar, and really put a lot of investment in that infrastructure to reduce our pollution.
Mary Sweeters, you're talking about cap and trade, and as a way to deal with the energy crisis. I think a while back we had a gentleman on the show, and I don't remember his name, from the Durban group. There was a group. It was a group of scientists in South Africa who basically criticized that, as well as Gore, because it was still based too much on fossil fuels, and that the emphasis was that kind of thing, rather than putting more into wind and to solar. And one of the things that I always find interesting is the number of blacktop highways and parking lots and roofs on big malls and stuff that would just hit me. I said, wow, I didn't even think of that.
Right.
That those things heat things up. It sounds like Arizona is like a big parking lot in a lot of ways, and that the temperatures get really unbearable there in the summer.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, I mean, Greenpeace is advocating for a cap and trade program because it is a tangible way that countries can actually look at, here we are setting tangible limits to our pollution. We're saying X amount of greenhouse gas emissions per year, and then ratcheting it down as you go, and kind of creating a market around the pollution in order to reduce it. But I think you're definitely right in terms of kind of our urban planning, how our whole infrastructure, especially here in the United States, the whole urban sprawl phenomenon, the suburbs, all of that, we need to be looking at that very carefully and, thinking more in terms of how are we going to create better transportation systems so that people are driving less? How are we going to be building our neighborhoods and everything so that, we aren't experiencing what Arizona and other places are experiencing, blacktop, all over the place.
What kind of effect do you think the sudden and rapid and dramatic decrease in the cost of fuel, like gasoline these days, is that in a lot of ways in a dire economic time? We get hit with we have an Obama victory.
Right.
There's a lot of joy. At the same time, we get an early winter we get the economy, sort of the decline of capitalism really rapidly increases, and as all of that's going on, the only benefit, and it's probably not a positive thing, is that the cost of fuel has dropped dramatically. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, when, in the summertime when gas prices were spiking, they were way up there. It was interesting. We saw quite a change in people's behavior, taking more public transportation. I remember the New York Times had an article out about just all the cities across the country were reporting increased ridership on their public transit systems, which of course Greenpeace will advocate and we're in support of. But I think it's very telling that gas prices, they've gone up, they've gone down, and really we need to be moving away from using fuel like that, moving toward more public transportation systems, moving toward energy use that won't be hitting people so hard in their pocket. I would imagine oil prices, if they go up again this winter, people are going to be very hard hit here in the Midwest and in the Northeast when they have to pay their bills to heat their homes. And so that's another reason, a big economic benefit to moving toward renewable energy. And really stimulating the renewable energy economy in this country is that we won't be subject to the fluctuations of oil prices as much, and people won't be as hard hit in their pocketbooks.
We have a new engineer with us today, Tony Breed, and I think Tony can hear us in the other room. We'd like to take a short musical break. And then we'll be right back. You are listening to WLUW's Live from the Heartland on 88.7 Loyola University's community radio station. I'm your host for this morning's edition. I'm Michael James, and I'm having a conversation with Mary Sweeters, the global warming organizing manager for Greenpeace. Is that for the whole country or for the Midwest? Or
I work with people who are in the Midwest and also on the West Coast, yeah.
Okay, so Tony, if you are hearing us, let's have a little music. I'm not sure what you'll pick, but we're looking forward to it. And stay tuned.
Drowning here in summer's cauldron, under mats of flowers.